Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Eve Echoes. In today's video we're going to be going over the January 6th Indomitable patch notes. Now Indomitable is the big sovereignty update that we've been talking about for months. At long last it is finally here on the live server, we've got the patch notes, so what I'm going to do is one of my usual patch notes videos where I basically just read through these with you guys, talk about what the patch notes mean and what my opinions are. And yes, I know it's 2021 and I'm a little bit annoyed I still have to say this. These are my thoughts and my opinions. You will probably have some of your own thoughts and some of your own opinions. You are, of course, entitled to those, and I would love to hear your opinion, as long as it's worded politely in the comment section down below. Now, as with my other patch note videos, of course, this is just going to be me recording the screen and talking and reading what we see on it. There's going to be very few flashy graphics here at all. Basically, if there's going to be anything on screen, it might be screenshots of the things I'm talking about. I'll see how I feel once we sort of get to the end and I'm editing this all together. Anyway, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting a like on it, sub to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, ding that notification bell so you know when the next video goes live, and let me know in that comment section how you feel, what kind of topics, what videos you want to see me make in future. Finally, if you do want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, you can do so either by coming and joining us on Patreon, which I am in the process of revamping completely now, and we have a Redbubble merchandise store. So if you've ever fancied a t-shirt or a hoodie or a notebook or something representing Captain Benzie or the Catskull Cartel or Catskull Academy, now you can. I do recommend going across and having a look at that. Anyway, that said and done then, let's jump right in to talking about the Indomitable patch notes, January 6th, 2021. Now, sovereignty features. First up, front and center in this update, in the Indomitable update, as I said, is sovereignty. Sovereignty can be loosely described as the capability for corporations and alliances to claim and control areas of space. Now, obviously, there's only certain areas that can be claimed. I can't go up to Jita with my alliance and say, hey, this is ours now. It doesn't quite work like that. Sovereignty allows you to start building your own empire out in Nullsec with your friends. And I know a lot of people have been saying, why wasn't this added on launch? And quite frankly, having it not added on launch is a fantastic thing. Sovereign RPG talked about this an awful lot, comparing it to how the Stellaris 4X mobile game handled sort of its sovereignty. And basically it meant that anyone who was there on day one claimed everything, and now there's nothing. You only can join what is already there. There's no capability for that interplay. Anyway, sovereignty features, the big front and center part of this patch. Added the corporation citadel and corresponding industrial and market options. Basically, corporation citadels are the big space stations that actually allow you to claim sovereignty. Build those and you claim the system. Destroy them and you return the system to neutral so that your corporation or alliance can build and claim instead. The corresponding industrial and market options are, of course, the ability to actually build those and the market to actually buy and sell the parts required as well. Players can now anchor corporation citadels in claimable Nullsec regions and declare sovereignty. It's worth noting that when we say claimable Nullsec regions, that's because there are some areas of space out there that cannot be claimed. Curse, for example, is already claimed by the Angel Cartel. Stain is the Sanchez Nation. Venal for the Gurustus Pirates. Delve for the Blood Raiders, that kind of thing. There are areas of space that cannot be claimed because the NPCs already have them. Okay, the first version of Corporation Citadel comes with the following bonuses: reverse engineering success rate +5, material manufacturing efficiency +1. This means if you're doing stuff inside a Corporation Citadel, like reverse engineering, you're getting that increase to the success rate. It means it's better for you to be doing this kind of stuff inside a Corporation Citadel rather than inside a, one of the standard space stations. Of course, they want you to be building these things, they want you to be using them, so having buffs for being inside them for your reverse engineering, etc., is a really nice little thing to have. Added the alliance management mechanic, which expands an alliance's maximum limit to 30 corporations. This is humongous. If you look at some of the bigger alliances like Void, like GenFed, like Golden Horde, etc., you'll see that they often have 5 or 6 different wings, each of those wings having sort of like 10 corporations in them. As an example, looking at the Golden Horde, you have like the Golden Horde, the Golden Axe, the Golden Spear, all with their own different corporations in, because basically they ran out of space. Now you can put 30 corporations in there. That is a big change, a big boost, and I imagine a lot of alliances are actually going to basically crumble and reallocate themselves into one big alliance. Like, for example, if you've got three alliances all doing the same thing, you may as well collapse two of them and move those corporations, consolidate all that into the one main one. Increase the number of customizable corporation positions to 10. This is where you had like engineer, officer, CEO, all that kind of thing. Now you can have up to 10 positions. This is a feature that corporation management has been crying out for since day one. Only having 5 slots made it very difficult to actually differentiate, because of course an officer isn't necessarily an officer, and you may have different tiers of players. Like, for example, you may have new players who have access to nothing because they're not trusted yet. You then bring them into a slightly trusted position, then a fully trusted position. Then you need an officer position, and suddenly that's already 4 of your roles gone, and the CEO sits on top as the 5th. Straight away, that's now all 5 of your roles gone, so doubling that up to 10, I'm very, very fond of. New fleet features. Fleets can now have up to 51 members. Yes, you read that right, 51. Basically, you get 5 squads of 10 each, and you have 1 fleet commander overall. Now, this itself is still slightly problematic, as the fleet commander does get stuck outside any of the squads. He's not inside any of the squads, which means you do just have to take some extra considerations into account there for that 51st player, and the person who is ultimately leading it all. But it means for those big space battles that Sovereignty is going to inspire, we actually are able to consolidate again all of our players into one cohesive fleet led by a fleet commander. Or in the case again with some of those bigger alliances, we're still going to have 3 or 4 fleets, but that's still better than having 10 or 20 fleets all trying to work together, which I'm all for. Added fleet commands, fleet focused fire, and go as fleet. Obviously you had warp fleet, which meant the entire fleet warped to a point, which made getting from A to B fairly tedious if you're jumping multiple systems. Now go as fleet means that you kind of follow each other on that long path to your combat destination. And fleet focused fire means that not only is it just a case of lock onto this target, it's now lock onto this target and blap it off the grid ASAP, which I'm really for. I've not done a lot of fleet FC here in Eve Echoes, but I know a lot of people have been asking for that kind of stuff. Just that ability to get on with the fleet stuff that little bit easier, makes fleet command easier, makes that PvP, large scale PvP easier. All for it. And a fleet loot log that can be viewed by anyone. Awesome. Now you can see what happened to those nice bits of Dead Space gear that just disappeared. You know, I'm sure no one looted that wreck. Where's it all gone? Now you can see that Johnny 2x4 at the back was the one who actually stole all of your turrets, and you can go shout at him or kick him from your corporation if he doesn't listen. Nice. Added an option in personal settings that allows the game to automatically reject all fleet invitations. This is quite nice. It means that, you've got a situation now where previously if people were just spamming you with fleet invites, you'd have to decline. You can just keep trolling people with that. Now you can just go, I'm just going to decline all invitations, and you'll turn it off when you know you want to be joining a fleet. Useful. Added the function to share fleet card to all channels. This again is kind of a join fleet. You put a fleet card in the channel and anyone can click it and join in. Useful for a very quick call to arms in combat. And again, with Sovereignty inspiring more of those large scale PvP battles, the ability to muster a full fleet nice and quickly is always going to be a good thing. And the commander can synchronize command filter settings to the squads. Excellent. That's really, really useful. It just means that you're all looking at the same thing and you're all handling it all in the same way together. Very, very nice. New features though. Outside of Sovereignty and Fleets, we do have some other new features. Let's have a look at these, because some of these are very exciting, look really cool, and do actually really polish off the game. Number 1, an event for new pilots to help catch up to their friends is now available, allowing newer pilots to gain a lot of skill points for a month of Omega Combo. Now, this itself has been controversial, I think is the word I'm going to use. Some people hate this idea that people who are joining the game now can basically pay to get a boatload of SP. I look at it the other way round. If you're a new player joining the game, you know, I still talk to friends in real life out here in Zimbabwe and say, hey, why don't you come join us in Eve Echoes? And they go, cool. And they open it up and they look at it and they see that I'm flying Tech 8 ships and they're in Tech 3 ships and they're going to be stuck at Tech 5 for about another week. And it's going to be many, many months before they can join up to Tech level 8 relocate and fly the ships that they want. If they fancy being an interdictor pilot, that kind of thing, they're just never going to get to where they want. They're going to give up ahead of time because they can't really be doing the content they want to with their friends. If you go to any big MMO like World of Warcraft, there's always been recruit a friend campaigns. Not only does this help add new players to the game just in general, and obviously new players means more people for content, that's just a bonus for everyone, but it also just helps people play it together and thus do that kind of content together. I'm all for this change. Added star maps for all systems. Now, this is probably one of the ones where I will put a screenshot on screen if I remember. The star maps look beautiful now. They are properly color-coded. You've got the lines all joining them together, so you can see high security, low security, null security, and sort of the mids between there with the different greens, yellows, and reds. You can also change all of this now to have a look at all the different empire spaces and a lot of other features. The star maps, though, just look really, really swish now. I really like them. Number 3, statistics including sovereignty information and destroyed ship info added to the star map. This is incredibly useful. 1, the sovereignty means that map is ever changing and you can actually see the border limits of your empire and you can work out if the space that you're about to enter is controlled by someone, friend or foe. Always useful information. Secondarily is that destroyed ship info. If you can open up your star map and you see that 30 ships have been killed in this particular system in the last half an hour, that probably means there's either a gate camp or a big PvP battle. Either way, you should probably avoid that system and move on to the next one. Players with criminal timers can no longer dock at capsuleer outposts. Now, this one I'm actually in two minds about. On one hand, I understand kind of why you'd want to do this. It stops people undocking, firing off a couple of shots, and then docking back up again. But at the same token, capsuleer outposts are personal, and criminal timers theoretically should be subjective. Now, I understand why a station in the Caldari state, for example, might not want to let you dock up if you have a criminal timer, but a capsuleer outpost is theoretically yours. And if you're undocking and getting a criminal timer, chances are it's because you're defending your sovereign space, at which point the capsuleer outpost shouldn't then stop you docking for protecting it. You know, I'm in two minds on that one, but that may just be because I'm a filthy pirate, but hey, there we go. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one. HP and DPS cap adjusted for corporation citadels. This, I'm hoping, is an adjustment upwards, as when the test server started for sovereignty, certainly corporation citadels were pathetic. Like, the HP on them was terrible. It was so easy to pop one, even once it had been fully set up. So I'm hoping that's an upwards increase to HP that makes them that little bit sturdier. Otherwise, it kind of becomes pointless. You know, you drop a corporation citadel and it's gone in seconds, and then they drop theirs, and it's just this back and forth, back and forth. There does need to be a certain amount of stability and the ability to actively defend them. Some group modules only affect squad members now. This makes sense. Ultimately, if a fleet has gone from 10 people up to 50 people, you don't want one Guardian ship theoretically being able to take care of the entire fleet of 50. You only want it to take care of the 10 people that it's with, and you have the full group of 50 to do otherwise. I mean, again, using like WoW as an example, or FF14 or whatever, you're theoretically in a raid, you've got each little party, and those parties might have their own healer who focuses on that particular party, rather than having sort of, you know, a small group of healers at the back that focus on everyone. It's just an organisational thing, and it makes sense to me. It means that if you can't just have one Guardian ship sit there and protect an entire fleet of 50 people. Mining belts in normal systems will start a 15-minute despawn timer after the remaining mineral volume drops below 30%. And again, I can hear Gigaforte screaming with joy in the background at this one already. I know that's something he's been crying for a long time as well. Basically, you could get into a belt with you and your friend, an asteroid belt. You're in a stealth bomber, they're in a venture. You clear out all of the asteroids, and then you just park the stealth bomber off to the side, fully cloaked. That asteroid belt now never respawns because it never disappears. It stays there, but with no asteroids in it, and thus it never gets replaced or refreshed. This means now that will eventually still refresh. That asteroid belt or cluster will close down and will respawn 15 minutes after it drops below 30%. Stacked items can now fit into contracts as long as the total amount can fit. Awesome. I'm crazy that it didn't anyway. Adjustments have been made to shuttle capacitors. Again, I think this is adding a bit of stability to shuttle capacitors because they were warping so fast across high sec that they were actually running out of capacitor and slowing themselves down to a stop. Tier 8 and above encounters now have one less wave of enemies. No change was made to storyline missions. Rewards from encounters have been slightly reduced to reflect less time spent in combat due to having one less wave of enemies to deal with. Again, all for this. Tier 8 and above encounters, having fewer waves of enemies, making them slightly less lucrative on the ISK. Yeah, it all makes sense. It makes sense. The storylines need to be difficult. The Tier 8 encounters are the ones that you're supposed to do solo on your own, so making them a little bit easier, but dropping the amount of ISK you can earn is a great way of sort of increasing, or just stabilising rather, the ISK per hour that you can earn in Tier 8 solo encounters. All for it. Corporation Citadel blueprints are now available for purchase in the market. Awesome. Of course, they kind of need to be, otherwise no one can build the Citadels. Orders on the market page can now be sorted by distance. Huzzah! We can now decide whether or not you want to pay that extra million or so to fly all the 20 extra jumps to Jita, or whether you just want to grab it from a nearby ITC, and you can sort that information nice and easily. New module, Resource Extraction Amplifier, added to Capsulator Outpost. From what I remember, this is one of those sort of things you can plug into a Capsulator Outpost, and it will make, when you're reprocessing stuff, you get additional from it. I think someone can correct me on that one. I've not really played much with the Capsulator Outposts. I've been too focused on the sovereignty side. Inertia Stabilizer and Micro Warp Drive modules now have their own unique icons. In fairness, the Micro Warp Drive technically did have its own unique icon. The Afterburner and the Micro Warp Drive were very similar, but the Micro Warp Drive was an almost whitish blue, whereas the Afterburner is a slightly deeper blue. It's... I'm not complaining at the change, and I've put a screenshot on screen now, hopefully, again, if I remember, to showcase the difference. And Micro Warp Drives now do look significantly different from Afterburners. It's going to be much more difficult to confuse the two, which I'm all for, especially since, yes, we know I'm famous for having fitted small Gorget armor repairers to a Mala. The inertial stabilizer as well has a completely unique new graphic as well. Looks pretty cool actually. I've never really used them in ships because I'm not an industry pilot for the most part, but they do look really cool. The max limit for free training is now displayed in the skill page. Awesome. This is the how many points you can earn when you're offline and no skill training. You can now see exactly how many that is, so you know when you need to log in again. Post-processing rendering efficiency improved. Extra stability, happy with that. Added alliance management skills. The CEO of the Executive Corporation can further increase the maximum number of corporations in the alliance by up to an additional 20 from these skills. Great. This means my CEO character is probably going to have to drop all of his battlecruiser skills and move them straight into alliance management in order for us to have that larger alliance for Catskull. But hey, there we go. I'll just have to move all of those skills then across otherwise to my currently cruiser main. Looks like he's going to be a battlecruiser main and going for the Silent Rose at this rate. Oh, so many new characters. Added a new icon design for inactive modules. This basically means when you have modules equipped that your power grid can't quite handle and they're turned off, they normally had that like power symbol through them. Now they get a much clearer graphic that showcases that they are offline because you do not have enough power grid to function them. After a corporation recruitment post expires, all players with recruiter permissions will receive a notification. Awesome. We don't use recruiters, but I know some people do. Having the ability just to notify when your campaign has ended and you need to repost, all good. Optimize the issue description field on the report screen. This is when you're making a report to the devs where something's gone wrong, bug reports, that kind of thing. That interface has now been optimized a little bit. All good. Means the devs are getting feedback seriously. It's not just a case of, oh, the system's broken, but it kind of works. So, you know, now they're making it that little bit more comfortable for us to report bugs. That's only ever a good thing. If you're missing corporation permissions, a detailed notification will be sent to you. Cool. It's now explaining how what you're missing from a corporation permission-wise and what you'll need, that kind of thing. Good. NPCs will walk back to their original location after they're out of aggro range. Huzzah! This is a really cool little addition as well. It means that if you sit there in an encounter and you jump in at say 100 kilometers, you draw everyone out into a line, you have to disappear to repair or whatever, and you jump back into the encounter, you're not suddenly going to jump back into a cloud of enemies. They're all going to warp back to the very center point of that encounter where you can pick up and continue again. Makes encounters that little bit easier, if I'm telling the truth. Improved the upper left content display corner. This is the bit where you have like your character face and the different menus. They are just a little bit sharper and a little bit clearer now. I really like that change. It's subtle, but it really does help just that little bit, especially on some of the darker backgrounds. Added a second confirmation when choosing to attack Concord. The are you sure you want to shoot at the big scary police ship? Yes. Are you really sure that you want to shoot at the big scary police ship? Yes, I am. Okay, normally I'm against the whole Windows Vista thing, but in this case, I think it's probably worth asking twice if you want to shoot at Concord, because boy, that's not a fun situation to do accidentally, let me tell you, having done it. That's a story for another day. Faction ship debris can no longer be reprocessed in order to prevent accidental reprocessing. As someone who has accidentally turned an entire stack of Angel Cartel debris into rig materials, I can tell you how painful that actually is, so huzzah for that change. Yes, okay, you can argue that hang on a second, it should just ask, but in fairness, often you just kind of just click OK on things that pop up. Having that... there's no reason you should ever really be reprocessing the faction debris, it's too damn expensive. If you want rig parts, use other debris, just use the Minmatar Tech 9, not the bloody Angel Cartel stuff. Switching screens will not close the fitting interface. This is a mobile game, tabbing out to different screens is fairly common. Having it not mess with the main game, always good. If an anomaly is currently being removed, even if there are players in it, the anomaly will be removed after 15 minutes. Awesome. This means, again, like we were talking about with the encounters earlier, with the mining belts earlier, if they are due to be rebooted, that will happen even with players in them. From what I gather, when it's currently being removed, that means all waves are cleared and you're now on looting. It means once you've cleared that final wave, you've got 15 minutes to loot everything before it automatically resets itself, which is really useful just for stopping, again, that whole idea of turning a system into just a null system by putting enough stealth bombers in it. Completely naked stealth bombers, just nothing but the cloaking device. Heck, you can put any ship, doesn't even have to be a stealth bomber. Put it in there, in a cloaking device, and you shut down all of their mining, you shut down all of their ratting. The fact that the devs have taken notice of this is really, really good. You'll now be notified whenever you are removed from a corporation. I'm astonished you weren't already. You should have had a letter or something in your inbox when you log back in saying you've been booted. I don't get why it didn't. Whenever a market order is filled, the transaction price will stay the same as the order placed earlier. I'm not sure on this one. Again, perhaps someone in the comment section can clarify that one. Point 29, when a market order is filled, the transaction price will stay the same as the order placed earlier. Please clarify. 30. A fitting plan can now be applied to a Capsuleer outpost. Awesome, this is kind of like when you have fitting plans for ships, you can just kind of tap it and it will equip all of the modules and that you want. You can do that with Capsuleer outposts. I guess this is for those particular alliances. I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are, where you're losing Capsuleer outposts almost as fast as you can build them. I suppose it's nice not having to spend those extra few seconds equipping them. Added a train now shortcut to skill tips. Tap it to proceed to training in that skill. Basically, this means if you want to train advanced small cannon operation, you can hit train now, and it will train up all of the necessary parts of small cannon operation first of all, in order to actually give you the minimum requirements for reaching that. It's really nice, it's a tiny little quality of life change, but it does really help. What I absolutely adore is this next one. All Omega characters now have up to 30 days of training queue. This now means, rather than kind of you get, it was a 24-hour threshold. If you trained skills up to 23 hours and 59 minutes, you could train one more skill and then it would say queue is full. This now is all the way up to 30 days, so at 29 days, 23 hours and 59 minutes, you can add one more queue, and however big that skill is to the queue is how large the skill queue can be. It just means you can theoretically set a whole ton of skills training and not worry about them for an entire month, which is actually pretty cool. It's a nice bonus. I'm really pleased with that. Brings us into line with EVE Online. Nice long skill queues means I can actually plan things properly, and I can like move things around and figure out what exactly it is I want to train. I can have lots of things like, oh yes, I need to remember to train into armor hardening. I need to remember that I just need to do that one extra drone skill. You know, these small skills that perhaps are only sort of like 4 or 5 hours, but I don't want to train them now. I've got more pressing stuff now, but it's just, it allows you to put pins in things, which I adore. It's nice, it's organizational, excellent. Added a new animation to the skill interface. I'm not going to describe it, see if you can spot it. added a new font to the game. Again, let's see if you can spot where this font is used. I'm not going to do it as a giveaway, but I am just interested to know which of you can spot where the font is used and what the animation in the skill interface is. Corporation search in both contact and recruit will no longer be case sensitive. Huzzah! This is a humongous change. There is no reason for it to be case sensitive when corporations already have that whole, you've chosen this name, you can't use that name. It's already so specific in how it does these things in the game anyway. Making it case sensitive in addition just complicated things in regards to contracts. And I'm all for that change. Big, big, big happy change there. It seems as we're getting to the bottom of this list, we're getting to the changes that I like, and they're actually the ones that don't really do much to the game itself. Crazy that. Anyway, 36. A reminder was added whenever planetary materials are launched. Good. Again, I know a lot of people just kind of launch and then go, hey, wait, what? Nice to know that there is a little reminder there saying it's in this system, go get it. Improved the resolution of Android devices in ultra-high configurations. As someone using an Asus ROG Phone 3, that is always good, and I can tell you that yes, actually, it is a massive graphical update. I say massive, it's noticeable. It's a noticeable update between what I had this morning and what I currently have when I log in. It's beautiful, and I love it, and it means it's actually going to help with the screenshots that I use for the thumbnails. That's always a good thing too for you guys. Finally, whenever a Capsuleer outpost is successfully anchored, now only the pilot who anchored it is allowed to enter. Again, good. This allows that pilot to get it properly set up with the correct permissions before other people start jumping in and just being annoying. It's kind of like, hey, I've just bought a new house, and you get given the key, and by the time you get to the house, all of your mates are already in there, they've already dumped all their clothes and that around the place, and are jumping up and down on the beds, and it's just like, they've already chosen which room they want, sort of thing. It's not quite like that, you get what I'm saying. It's just nice that you, as the guy who made that Capsuleer outpost, get to be the first person to dock in it and start setting those permissions before anyone else can. I'm also going to be a little bit cynical and say that I think a part of that as well is that it stops you like having a whole fleet of people like parked outside a Capsuleer outpost and then dock the second that it finishes building. It now means that they actually have to sit there and wait. So if there's a big attack going on, you still have to have that guy get in there and set the permissions before the rest of you can dock. Which, I'm kind of all for. Again, it makes the PvP more exciting. Fixes. Fix the activation cost of energy neutralizers. I didn't even know there was a bug here. So again, third one, if anyone can tell me what the bug with the cost of energy neutralizers was, let me know in the comment section below. I'm assuming that they were saying that they took, say, 60 gigajoules to activate, but were only actually using 50, or they were actually taking 150 or something crazy like that. Let me know in the comment section down below. But there we have it. That is Indomitable in text form. This is a very exciting patch, very exciting update. A lot of new features there. The fleet features and the sovereignty features are something that's very exciting, especially for someone who lives out in Nullsec. I know for those of you who spend your entire life in HighSec, you might be a little bit disappointed there's not many changes going on here, but I do honestly say this is Eve. Eve is not meant to be soloed. As actually one of the game designers from CCP once famously said, trying to solo Eve is like trying to solo Facebook. You can do it, you can certainly have a great time, and I'm not going to tell you how to have fun. If you enjoy playing solo, then continue playing solo, but consider joining a corporation, because you'll still be able to play solo in all of the good corporations, you'll still be able to play solo and do all the things you want to do, but you'll have the added stability and safety of being able to do all of that in Nullsec with all of the extra lucrativity that entails. You get better anomalies, you get better encounters, you get better mining, you get more people around you that are friends. It's just a much more social experience. And on that note as well, if you are still looking for a corporation for Nullsec, the Cat's-Skull Cartel is still hiring. So if you want to, check the link in the description below. The one that is the Discord link, STRZYPs, all that kind of thing is uppercase and lowercase. Take that, come join our Discord, and you can make an application with the Cat's-Skull Cartel. We are still looking for new players. We are expanding rapidly, especially with sovereignty on the board. Come join us down in Nullsec for some super happy fun times, blowing up enemy ships, and building our own empire. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this patch. Again, there's a lot of information here to disseminate, a lot of really cool changes, a lot of really cool new additions. I'm still looking forward to the day we get Mordu's Legion, Sisters of Eve and Exploration, but let's deal with the Sovereignty first. This is very exciting, and I genuinely cannot wait to see where this goes next. Let me know what excites you most, let me know what cool things have already been happening for you since the patch dropped, let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, folks, thank you for watching right the way to the end of this one, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.